Oh, it's been a busy day, but I am super excited for the next 30 minutes. Yeah, welcome to the Unified CXM experience. As always, I'm Grad Khan, your host and Chief Experience Officer at Sprinkler. And as usual, I welcome Neha, our breath yogi. Hi, Neha. How are you?
Good. Hi. How was your week?
It's been a really intense week, and it was a short week. We had
Yeah.
the July 4th holiday, and I don't quite know what's going on, but it's been a bit frantic. I'm really looking forward to this time. Actually, is need to do some breathing. It's like this great movie. I can't remember what the movie's called, but it's like Bill Murray's in it, and it's and he's a psychiatric patient, and he's like keeps sort of hunting his psychiatrist. Do you remember what it's called, Randy?
What about Bob?
What about Bob? And there's this, and he's like, the psychiatrist has given him. I think it's a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I think it's maybe it's a psychologist, and he's given Bill Murray's character these like mantras to try to keep him from losing his mind, and he said, just think about like. Just take one baby step at a time, right? Just one baby step at a time. Don't worry about trying to get all the way there. And so Bill Murray's waiting for 4:00 to roll around. I can't remember why. And he's standing up, baby steps to 4:00, baby steps to 4:00, baby steps to 4:00, baby steps to 4:00. It's like getting like even more frantic. Kind of feel like that's the way the week's been. It's been a baby steps to 4:00 kind of week.
My God.
Yeah. Like you get tense just thinking about it, right? It's like, oh boy. Okay, so let's calm it all down. I think we need a calming, quick. Let's do a quick calming breath exercise. Then today I want to talk about humility. So I want to get into that. I think that'll be a good topic for today. But let's do baby steps to.
Let's get calm
before breathing or something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. Let's sit with our spine straight, shoulders relaxed, feet firmly on the ground, and palms open to the ceiling. And we'll just do a few full abdominal breaths. So let's close the eyes and on my count through the nose, breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in till your collarbones lift up. Hold the breath. And as you breathe out, gently pull the navel in towards the spine. Make your waist tiny. Breathe out fully. And let's continue a few more rounds. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4 till your collarbones lift up. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just 3 more rounds. Breathe in. Let the air expand the belly fully. Breathe into the chest. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last one. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and relax. Keep your eyes closed for a moment. Let's take a moment to fully arrive in the present. Become aware of your surroundings, the sounds in the environment. Become aware of what's happening in your body. Become aware of what's happening in the mind right this moment. And when you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes.
That was great. I like that. All right. So let me start with some facts, and then I'll relate a quick story of my own, and then we'll just kind of have a an open discussion here. What I love our discussions. We don't have a script.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even necessarily know what we're going to talk about until a few minutes before we start the show. I really love that. We've had some of the best conversations. So there was a study, this is a few years ago, but there was a study that was done of CEOs. And they actually were looking at high-performing CEOs. So they looked at companies whose stock price had risen a certain percentage over a long period of time, like 20% a year over 5 years, like long sustained performance in the stock and an increasing stock. So generally, you'd attribute that to the CEO and his or her leadership. And so, what the study was trying to do is trying to determine what makes a great CEO. Is she an engineer? Is he a former athlete? Is she great with math? All sorts of different ways of thinking about it. So they came up with, I think, 60 different attributes, and the number sticks in my mind. It might have been 61 or 62. And they kind of completed it for all these CEOs. It was a large number of CEOs as well. And they're trying to find what was in common. What did they have in common? What did top performing CEOs all have in common? Right. And it was an amazing study. What they found is that none of the things you would expect, education, where you're from, like there's a whole long list of things that you'd potentially guess were highly associated with success. None of them were consistent. There's no way to see those as being operating except for one thing. And the one thing that they found that was common across all the CEOs was that they were all described by others as having a high degree of humility. That was so interesting. Very humble. And they're like humble servants. And that was, in the study's conclusion, is that there's a lot of things that CEOs have in their toolkit, and many different things seem to work. But one thing that's not replaceable is humility. And a top-performing CEO. Not to say that there aren't a lot of CEOs out there that are anything but humble, but the top-performing ones all had a great degree of humility. So I've always found that compelling and striking. And it was interesting for me watching the turnover from Steve to Satya at Microsoft. And I'm a huge Steve Ballmer fan. I think Steve, I've talked about this before on the show. I think Steve has been very unfairly treated. I'm sure he's fine, but he's been very unfairly treated by the media and by a lot of people in the industry. I think Steve's brilliant and a big part of the reason Microsoft became what it was. And if it wasn't for Steve, Microsoft would not have survived the 21st century. He's the one that started Azure. He's the one that started Office 365. He's the one that started Surface. Like all that got going under his stewardship. Yeah, made some mistakes, but oh my gosh, come on. There's like, he did a lot of things really well. So big Steve fan, but he was a polarizing figure, and that was maybe his Achilles heel. Satya came in, and Satya has such an amazing amount of humility. And there's two quotes from him that I thought were really powerful. At an early town hall, and Satya holds a town hall in Building 99 once a month. Building 99 is one of the research buildings at Microsoft and has a glass ceiling over a large interior atrium. It's a gorgeous building. And so he sort of sits on a very low dais in the middle so people can see him, and then he just takes questions. Like there's nothing prepared. He just stands there and takes questions, and the questions aren't pre-screened or anything. And they could be quite challenging questions. The engineers will really whip some fastballs at him, and he's game for anything. So one time someone asked him, how do you deal with a bad day? Because obviously he must have bad days. Things don't go well at home. Your car won't start. Like all the stuff that normally happens to everybody, he's got to have that stuff happen to him. And how does he deal with it? And how does he manage it? And he pursed his lips, kind of put his fingers together, kind of in a steeple, and he kind of thought about it for a second, and then he sort of just leaned forward very gently and said, being a CEO is a great job and an incredible honor. And I get to do a lot of things that I could not even imagine when I was younger. But there's one thing I can't do, which is I can't have a bad day. Oh, wow, good answer. I love that. I can't afford to have a bad day. And he's very, very true. Like, you walk into a meeting with Satya, he's always the same. You know that thing where you're not sure how someone's going to be? Like, he was always the same. It was so great. He always had clearly we get angry at times and things would go wrong, etc. But boy, he had a lot of control over his emotions. And the other thing that was also, I thought, and he's a very humble leader. And the other thing I thought that was very interesting was when he first came on board, and he did a series of emails restructuring the company and restructuring the mindset of the company. And those emails are actually publicly available on the Microsoft.com website. You can actually go and download them. They're a case study in organizational transformation. I'd recommend everybody read them. They're amazing. So his first email, he said, we have become a culture of know-it-alls. And a culture of know-it-alls is not helpful. It's no fun working inside a culture of know-it-alls. And our customers didn't really enjoy the way we were treating them either. And it was bad for the company. It was bad for the employees. It was bad for the customers. It was just terrible. And what he said is we need to become a culture of learn-it-alls. And what I thought was so brilliant about that is that if there is one characteristic of Microsoft people is that they do pride themselves on their intelligence. And it's, full of really smart people. So there's sort of the coin, the sort of two-sided coin. One side of a smart person is they can sometimes come off as a know-it-all. But the other side of a smart person is they do like to learn. And so I thought he very brilliantly, instead of saying we need to be this kind of culture or something completely different, he very brilliantly kept the same coinage of the company, but he just twisted it a little bit. Don't need to tell everybody how much you know. Tell them how much you've learned. And then they actually changed the incentive systems in your employee evaluation, and you got evaluated on 3 things. And they were equally weighted, which was what had you given to someone else? So what had you contributed to someone else? What had you done yourself? What accomplishments had you done yourself? And what have you stolen from someone else? What idea did you take from someone else and use on your business? It's really amazing. Like, no one had ever, and that's how we were being evaluated, just out of the blue. It was very interesting. And then he modeled it. So he started taking classes at the University of Washington. I think cognitive behavior. It was some super sophisticated class, and he was doing so. And so he modeled the learn it all behavior himself, and it was quite amazing to watch. And it was amazing to see how it changed the company, literally overnight. And all the people who were there were the same people who were there the week before, but suddenly everyone started behaving differently. It was quite amazing. So that's sort of the topic for me today. I haven't had a chance to actually talk about Satya, and I probably should spend a bit more time on the podcast talking about what it was like working in the company when he first came on board, because it was pretty amazing transformation. But let's talk about humility in leadership. And I feel like there's sort of leaders who are humble, and then I also feel like there's leaders who brag about how humble they are. Do you know what I mean? And how do you find humility in life, and how do you stay humble in the face of success and in the face of everyone telling you how amazing you are? They can be. I fortunately do not have that problem, but it can be tough. There's another one more story actually, just because it just hit me as I said that. I think this is true. It may be apocryphal, but apparently in Rome, when a conquering general returned to the city, they would get this, golden headdress, the laurel leaves, and the laurel leaves would be sort of presented to them and put on their head, and they would be in a chariot drawn by 4 horses, and they would parade through the streets of Rome and be cheered by all the citizens of Rome for their victory. And apparently they would put a person behind the general
Mhm.
in the chariot, and as the general went down the street to the cheering throngs of Romans, the person in the chariot with him would whisper in his ear, "You are mortal, and one day you will die,"
Mhm.
just to keep them humble.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's a true story or not. I love that story, though. I think it's a great story. But anyway, so let's talk about it a bit. So, what's your experience? You had a chance to work with a lot of different business leaders, and I'm sure you've seen the range of humility from very to not very.
Mhm.
What's your observation on this?
Yeah, and I think you know, it's a very rare combination to have humility and confidence.
Interesting.
To be humble yet be confident.
Yeah.
Usually, what you see is people who are very confident, they're not that humble, or people who are very, very humble and then they don't have enough confidence. So, the data that you shared is not a surprise to me because CEOs are like the brain of an organization. They have a lot of authority, they all have a lot of power, they also have a lot of responsibility. And it's not a shock that they were humble. And they also have to be very, very confident. It's a rare skill and it's something that we can absolutely cultivate. And I think one of the ways to do that is, because talking about CEOs, people expect them to show up confidently. They're
Mm,
expected to be leaders.
yeah.
Everybody wants to be. When you think about a CEO, the term that comes to my mind is leader, right? Somebody who's leading, has a vision, has the ability to rally people towards the common mission and a vision, and people trust the CEOs to have a vision bigger than their individual vision. And so CEOs are expected to be confident, to know what they're doing, to believe in themselves, their vision, and make other people believe. So it's not unexpected that they can come across and forget the humble part in the process of becoming and showing up as someone who's confident. And I think it takes tremendous emotional intelligence to remain humble at the same time but be confident. And one of the ways I think I've coached people, and I'm not a big CEO, but I remember that is, if you can have a bigger perspective on your life, like close to what that little story about Rome you said, the person whispering in the ear that you're mortal, is what, in a way, giving that general, like, hey, remember the big picture. Okay, this is not life. You're going to die one day. But I would, not look at it that way, but rather even zoom back, like, there's so many galaxies, and then there's one Milky Way, and then in Milky Way there's like one universe, like this universe and this Earth, and in Earth you're like so many countries and there's so many CEOs, and you're just one CEO out of all the thousands of CEOs. So if you can remember, like, how
That's a
minuscule
bit humbling.
yeah, like if you can remember
You are a
that.
speck of dust.
Like, yeah, like really. Otherwise, you have that when people lose their humility, it's like everything revolves around me, right? Like, if I
Yeah,
don't do
yeah.
this, I have to do this. So if you can remember, like, God, like this, like one whole planet, there are many countries, you're one CEO out of the thousands. So that keeps you humble. But at the same time, if you can remember that you're truly unique, there's not another Neha and there's not another grad, that gives you confidence. So, whatever you're here to share with the world, whatever the way I perceive things, or the way Neha, this unique combination of mind, body, soul, is perceiving and putting out things, is very, very unique, then that can give you confidence. So if you can move with these two things, that can keep you humble. And yeah, learning is a there's always so much to learn, so much to learn. We don't even know what we don't know, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
I have found marketing to be definitely a humbling, inspiring experience.
yeah.
And I think one of the things that's fascinating to me about marketing today and I think this is just becoming more pronounced, is that you are essentially testing and retesting different hypotheses. And so you're a marketing scientist. And as a scientist, you're often failing. Edison tried thousands of light bulb designs before he got on the design that worked. And, I think there's a great quote by Edison, and I'll have to look it up, but it's along the lines of, I'm not a great inventor, I'm a great failure. He tried and tried and tried and tried. He was very persistent. He had an interesting habit. He didn't sleep. He didn't like sleeping because he saw it as being unproductive. So he had a chair, and it was on a metal plate, and he would hold a ball bearing in his hand. And then he would fall asleep in the chair, and when his hand relaxed enough to release the ball bearing, it would hit the metal plate, wake him up, and he'd go back to work. Interesting? Probably not. Probably not. Highly recommended by sleep experts.
Yes,
But that was
not
Edison.
recommended.
Okay, not the worst. Anyway, so, but I think part of it too is like, where do you get your confidence from? And I think some people get their confidence from thinking they're all that in a bag of chips. Like just a very interesting news article today, which is the celebrity attorney Michael Avenatti was sentenced. And he's like a celebrity lawyer. He rose to fame as Stormy Daniels' lawyer. At one point, people were talking about him for running for office. I think they were talking about him running for office in a presidential context and certainly a Senate context. And he was on top of everything. And the next thing you know is he's threatening Nike, and they didn't take that lying down. Good for them. It was amazing, actually. And he got convicted, and now he's going to spend 30 months in jail. Oh, that's a humbling experience. And so I do see these people who kind of let hubris take over, and they start to think they're, untouchable. And I think that's always sad to see, but it happens very frequently. But I think confidence for me, when I observe when I'm confident, is that what I'm learning or what I've seen is that I'm increasingly confident as I move through my career that the program, activity, idea will work because I'm basing it on stuff I've done before, things I've seen work before. So it's less about me thinking that I'm so great and more about, I know this worked for blank. It'll probably work again here. It may not, but probably work. And that to me has been an interesting evolution that it's really hard to get there when you're younger because you don't have that giant database of experiences to draw on. So for younger folks who want to stay humble, but they also want to be confident, how do they build that? How do they build that confidence?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a very interesting question. And from my perspective, and it's just my perspective, my opinion, I think confidence that stems from something outside is temporary. Even if something worked 5 times, there's always a possibility that it doesn't work 6th time, right? And if you're basing your confidence on something that's outside, I think there'll always be that instability in life. True confidence, and like talking about people who, project themselves, if you look deeper, there's a lot of insecurity there. The need to project yourself as someone really big and I'm this and I'm that. If you look deep down under the hood, like deeper, there's some need for validation that's making them do that. So for me, from my perspective, true confidence can only stem from the inside. And it doesn't matter whether you're 3 years old or 10 years old or you're 17 years old, you have to meet my nephew. The guy is the most confident person I've ever met in my life. He's barely 17 now, but he's been that way since he's been a kid.
Interesting.
He never, and I think he may be a little bit more intelligent than some other kids his age, but he's absolutely confident in the value that he's here to add to the world. And I think it stems from inside. Knowing who you are, knowing your true nature is what brings you confidence. And because externally, things will keep changing. Someday the same strategy will work, and another day the same strategy may land you in trouble. But as long as you believe in your ability to be like, no, I am creative, I am resourceful, I am somebody who doesn't give up, and I can handle whatever it is that comes my way. Now that is confidence, like in my opinion.
And
So,
how do you build that if you're not born with that?
learning about yourself, having a better understanding of who you are, who you truly are, not who you are as this marketing person or as this somebody scared or as this student. Who are you? We've had so many experiences in life, but there is a part of you that is untouched and has been observing all the highs and all the lows. And if you can truly ground into that aspect of your being, then come what may, because this is the nature of life. There will be people who will love you, and there will be people who will not like you. Like, people loved Mahatma Gandhi to the point that he's the father of the nation, and then there were others who assassinated him. So this is getting grounded, learning about the nature of life, that it is how the experience of life is. Who I am truly is unaffected by any of these things. So then you can walk through fire and go through highs and lows with that state of immense confidence and grounding in yourself. So, how do you develop it? Spending a little time learning about ourselves. And I think that is the fundamental deficiency in our education system for this, the 20th century at least. It's all learning about this subject and that subject and this and all of that externally, but we're not spending time learning about ourselves. And that is why anxiety has never been higher, and all of those kind of things have never been higher, because we're not getting grounded in who we truly are.
So do you have a humility breath or a grounding breath, or what's if I want to start to go down that path, right? I want to learn who I truly am. Breathing's clearly a big part of it.
Yeah, just
So-
spending like a few moments. Yeah, I mean, just observing your breath, just even for 60 seconds a day. And then slowly, like, what is this phenomena? How is your breath moving in and out? I remember when my mom passed away, this is very personal. She was in an ICU and she was on a ventilator. And when we went in, and we wanted to tell them, okay, like, do whatever you want. And they're like, no, we're here to declare. And I was like, declare what? Like, the time of death is so and so. And then they took us in, and the ventilator was pumping the air in and out of her body. So the moment I saw her, we were like, hey, she's breathing. She's alive. And the nurse turned around and said, no, that's the ventilator. That moment for me has been a life-changing moment, because if just the action of pumping air in and out of your body could keep you alive, then nobody could die. Like, the ventilator was doing that. But it's something more that keeps us alive, that force, that life force energy in us, which keeps the heart beating, which keeps this air coming in and out. And really looking into that is what, spending like 5 minutes a day doing this internal reflection on, okay, what is keeping me alive? What's happening? How is my mind functioning? How do I experience things in my body, in my mind? It's a beautiful experiment. And I think developing this something called self-study, studying the self. And it's not something I can tell you or any teacher can tell you, because each one of us is unique and each one of us has to do it for ourselves. My teacher's knowledge cannot become my knowledge. I have to do it myself. My teacher can give me tools, but I have to do it. And one of those simple tools is just sitting and doing some self-study.
Self-study, okay.
So here's a breath to do that.
Okay.
And
Self-study breath. I like this.
self-study breath.
I don't think
Okay,
we've ever done a self-study breath. This is exciting.
okay. So
What
let's
if I don't like what I find?
see. That's what.
Could be awkward.
And it's easier. No, and it's easier for us. You hit it right on the head. It's easier for us to distract ourselves with what's outside because we think we'll find something we don't like. You already have a notion about it. This is becoming full-blown therapy or something, right? Like we need to cut this.
No, it's good. No, keep going. I'm loving this. Don't stop.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, we're scared of what we might find. But the truth is that
You're right.
fundamental.
There's this epidemic of busyness. Everyone's so busy. I even started off the podcast today talking about it, right? Everyone's so busy. Everyone's so busy. Everyone's so busy. And it's like, partly is that, are we just staying busy so we don't have to tackle the really tough questions? We don't have to face the real issues in our lives? Maybe.
And there is that also, herd mentality or whatever. This is what we're supposed to do, and we're just mindlessly doing it. But I just want everybody who's listening to know that you are love. Love is not an emotion, it's what we're made up of. So don't be afraid to explore yourself, to learn about yourself. Like you could spend a lifetime just learning about yourself. And when it's getting me, I'm getting excited talking about this because when you can really, truly start to learn about yourself, then it's so freeing and it's so like you're gonna be like, oh my God, I'm like the best dude on this planet. And I didn't know I was looking for love outside and I was looking for validation outside. I was looking for some words of appreciation, but hey, I have all of that already. And then the quality of your life is just like a whole different level. So let's go to the.
I love it. I love it. See, you're all skeptical when we were talking about this topic today, and see, it turned out awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look how deep we got. See, we always do. All right.
Okay.
Let's do a
Self-study
what are you calling this? Self-study breath. Okay. I'm all ready.
So it's rather it's a self-study practice. So let's sit back easily and comfortably. Palms are open to the sky, resting on your thighs. Eyes are closed. And now just become aware of your breath. Notice the air is moving in and out of your body. And just for a few moments, we are going to follow the breath. Notice the breath moving in through your nostrils, taking a U-turn at the top, going into your windpipe and into the lungs, and out of the lungs through the windpipe, out of the nostrils and out of the body. Just follow the breath for a few more breaths. Moving in, become aware of the quantity of air moving into the nostrils. What is the temperature? Feel it brushing against the inner lining of your nostrils. And notice as you breathe in, the belly is expanding. And follow the breath out. Notice the temperature of the air leaving your body. Notice what happens in the body as you're moving, as the breath is leaving the body. With every inhalation, you're becoming alive. And every exhalation is last act of life. Notice, is the breath choppy or is it smooth? Is it labored or is it effortless? And take a deep breath into the belly, into the chest. Hold the breath. And very, very slowly breathe out through the nose. And notice as you're breathing out, the body's getting relaxed. We'll do this one more time. Full breath in. Hold. Very, very slowly breathe out through the nose. Notice the body getting relaxed. Every single incoming breath is energizing the body, and every single outgoing breath is bringing relaxation and relief. Take a normal breath in, and as you breathe out, relax your shoulders and neck, relax your forehead, the eyebrows, relax your eyes, relax the lips, relax your jaws. A normal breath in, and as you breathe out, relax your whole body, your whole body. And when you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes. So if you do this practice of observing your breath every day, you'll discover different aspects of your being. Like if you're feeling angry, observe your breath. You'll notice, you'll become aware of different types, what's happening inside more acutely. That's a good way to study yourself. It starts there.
Wow, that was great. I really like where we went with this one. Let's maybe we could continue this discussion next week. I think it'd be good. I think this is we're sort of touching on something that's at the core of a lot of issues and challenges that people have. So I'd love to spend a bit more time on it. So let's think through some exercises, and I'll maybe pull some other data together, and we'll go from there. But that was an awesome episode, as always.
I love talking to you. Thank you. And I think I'll, become addicted to our Monday sessions. It's really fun. We don't know what's going to happen, right? That's part of the fun.
You never know what's going to happen. That's right. I know. That's kind of fun I am. All right. Well, Neha, the breath yogi. Neha, thank you so much. And I am looking forward to, and I will see you next week for the CXM experience. I'm Grad Khan, CXO, Chief Experience Officer at Sprinkler, and I'll see you next time.